We think about things really simple. What kind of initiatives can we work on with our partners? A, to support them, to help amplify and elevate their big tempo moments. And two, is that thing? What is that property? What is that experience we create that makes people say, "Yo, did you see that? They just put tweets on confetti. Did you see that?" If it makes the group chat, then it's something worth talking about.
And here's something worth talking about. We took the podcast live. That's right. It was the Storyteller Experience. We had 10 incredible storytellers take the stage and share their stories as well as the stories they're telling. If you missed it, there is no need to worry. We're bringing you each interview over the next several weeks. At the end of it all, we're going to break into a whole new season of Storyteller. It'll be the same show with a whole new flow. That's right. But first, today, we take flight with TJ Adeshola, head of US Sports at Twitter. TJ and the Twitter team just dropped some serious activations on the biggest stage in sports. It was Super Bowl 55. But before that, he took the biggest stage in storytelling. Have a listen. Hello and welcome to the Storyteller Celebration. If you're just tuning in for the first time, my name is Sky Muller.
And I'm Christine Chalk. Have you ever asked yourself, how do we leverage the power of Twitter to achieve our business objectives? We get that question a lot from partners at Tagboard. If so, listen up. TJ Adeshola here is your guy.
You can say that again. TJ advises sports properties who look to Twitter to reach new audiences, monetize their video content, and of course, innovate. Someone whose bio says he slangs tweets in the Twitter streets, and while his own company won't verify him, we consider him a verified storyteller. TJ, thank you so much for jumping on.
Thank you for having me. I'm ready to close this thing out. It's day 3, baby, so we got to come with it.
Day 3, we're coming in strong. You're our leadoff batter here. We can't wait to chat with you. TJ, we gave everyone a quick intro for you, but really your resume, it's smash hit after smash hit. You know, recently named one of the young influentials by Adweek. Give us the Cliff Notes version of how you got to where you are and what it is that you do for Twitter now.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me first and foremost. It's really simple. I am sports obsessed. I fell in love with sports because of storytelling. I'm an only child, so understanding the journeys of these stellar athletes and their stories to understand how they got from where they started to where they ended up being, it was something that inspired me. I mean, as an only child, I would throw the ball up and catch it myself. So I was the quarterback and a wide receiver, catching and throwing touchdowns. So sports resonated with me. It resonated with me, I should say. It was a security blanket. It was a way for me to build camaraderie and to foster brotherhood as well. So it was a pretty natural transition for me to pursue a career in sports. I'd be lying if I didn't say that my original intent or aspiration was to play at the professional level, but I missed way too many layups for that. So I started understanding that, wait a minute, the business of sports is actually kind of cool, and there's some really dope opportunities that exist within the business. So started my career at ESPN, and shortly after a few years there, my last stint there, I was working on our digital properties. At the time, it was ESPN3 and ESPN 360, which is now Watch ESPN. Transitioned to this little bird app that everybody was talking about. And here we are several years later, and I'm leading our U.S. sports efforts.
We'll get into that right now. But first, I wasn't an only child, but I still threw the baseball on the roof and let it come back down to me, a little playing catch by myself there. So I know what that's like. One of the most fun things personally for me to watch during the NFL season when we didn't have fans in attendance this year was the players and the team celebrating together in front of that end zone camera, whether it be an offensive touchdown, defensive turnover, whatever caused a celebration. I think it was called the hashtag Showtime Cam. And we have some video of some of those activations, but talk us through how this developed.
There we go. We have fantastic partners at the NFL. Shout out to Ian Trebetta, Dave Feldman, AJ Malik. They are fantastic. And we had a brain trust at the beginning of the year. And the idea was quite simple. What can we do that's disruptive, but it's fun and injects swag into the game day experience on social. They had done something similar around Pro Bowl prior to the season, so they had tested it, and it was a huge hit with the players. So when they came to us and said, "Yo, we're thinking about rolling this out in the regular season," myself and my team were like, "All right, how do we get involved? How do we do this?" And once the name Showtime Cam popped up, we were like, "This is it. It's gonna catch on." My original dream was, all right, we've got Cam Newton. We can't have Showtime Cam without Cam doing it. So I believe it was week 2. It was a primetime game, and Cam Newton, sure enough, pulled up to the Showtime Cam and did his thing. So that was kind of like the official for me, where I was like, you know what, I think we might have something here. So shout out to the NFL for an amazing partnership there.
I've told my husband this before. I always want to be in the locker room to hear about those guys organizing in advance, because it's so coordinated. They've got a plan of what they're going to do when they score to hit that Showtime Cam. I want to know, I want to be part of that rehearsal for their end zone celebration. I always wonder how that goes down when they plan to coordinate those.
And it's
But
a good point, right? Because after they see it after week 1 or week 2, they know when it's coming on the calendar. So we've seen over the course of time that these dudes are not playing games with Showtime Cam. When it's Showtime, they're ready to perform, as you could see with a few of those examples. So we're pumped with how it came out, and we've got some one more game, the Super Bowl, where we're expecting a little extra drip for the celebration.
I mean, how could you not? You got to bring it for the Super Bowl. I
Mhm.
imagine that from, thinking back to March and April when you were first having these conversations about what do we do, all the way up till fall, ideas and views have changed or evolved. What have you seen as far as you've had more time now to see what works for these leagues, maybe what isn't catching on? How have those conversations changed?
Yeah, what I would say is the pandemic certainly caught us all off guard and by storm. So when it was the Utah Jazz game, when the NBA canceled this, or postponed, excuse me, the season, and March Madness was canceled, we had a team sync, and we are like, all right, we got to step up to the plate, because when sports do come back, we don't want to be a partner who is ill-equipped to support our our partners' objectives. So we created an internal huddle called Project Roar, and the intent was, all right, if there's no fans in the stadium, Twitter, the timeline, can still serve as the roar of the crowd. So we called it Project Roar, and immediately there was outreach to our partners. Like, look, we know you're still brainstorming. We are here to assist. We are here to be a resource, and as a function of those conversations, courtside tweets popped up, and free baseball with MLB, and NHL warmups. Just a ton of innovation was birthed as a function of chaos, as a function of a new normal of sports. So I'm incredibly proud of the entire sports landscape. There were no sports for a period of time, but sports professionals came and showed up and brought it each and every single day. And it gave us inspiration to work alongside them, to delight fans, to delight players, teams, leagues, properties, to create some really dope shit.
Innovation is a collaboration, and it's so cool to hear how you collaborate with all those leagues. You mentioned the hashtag free baseball, so let's dive right into that. You also mentioned Super Bowl. Last Super Bowl, really cool idea when you put the tweets on the confetti as it's falling down after the Chiefs win. Now we see you kind of go a slightly different route with it at the World Series, where you're printing tweets on baseballs used for batting practice. We have video of this all coming together. And I saw this described as, quote, mad genius. Couldn't agree more. Give us the brains behind it.
Yeah, we've had a long-standing partnership with Major League Baseball, and they're a really, really innovative group there. So it was cool, because this is one of those discussions where we just kind of pushed each other. And we have an internal team called Next. It's a lab of sorts, a brand strategy lab, and we put a bunch of smart, creative folks in a room and said, what are we going to do for the World Series? And once MLB mentioned that this was a possibility, we put our foot on the gas and we made it happen. I mean, some of the baseballs you could actually see the game marks. You could see dirt on them. You could see they were actually used. So that became a really special moment for fans. Our objective was really again, if fans can't consume these games the same way that we've all been accustomed to consuming sports in the past, how can we connect them? How can we bridge that gap? How can we give them a piece of the game that they wouldn't be able to get otherwise?
It feels safe to say there's nobody who spends more time working with smart partners, brainstorming the next great thing. And, we talk about a lot of examples at the highest level with these leagues. We also have a lot of people tuning in that are from college athletic departments or franchises all across sports. What's your best advice that you can give to them? How can they achieve similar successes looking at what you've done, a few of the examples we've shown so far on different scales?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I have, I believe, the best team in sports. Shout out to the Twitter sports team, and we think about things really simple. What kind of initiatives can we work on with our partners? A, to support them, to help amplify and elevate their big tempo moments, and two, is that thing? What is that property? What is that experience we create that makes people say, "Yo, did you see that? They just put tweets on confetti. Did you see that?" If it makes the group chat, then it's something worth talking about. So ideally, in addition to helping our partners generate revenue, sponsorship revenue, which is a huge priority for us. We really prioritize innovation. Did you see that moments that break through, moments that delight the culture, that delight sports fans. So I would encourage all of you amazing, super kick-ass sports professionals, practitioners, do work that inspires you, right? Like, and if it starts to get mundane, if it starts to feel a little dull, challenge yourself, challenge your team. What can we do that we maybe haven't done before? What can we do that we've tried, but it wasn't as good as it can be? We work in sports. This is a really, really special landscape. And if you don't work in sports, if you work across entertainment, there are tons of opportunities to do game breaking things. And that's what we challenge ourselves with each and every day when we come to work. What can we do that'll make people talk about it?
And it sounds like what's key is making memorable moments. And when we ask our storytellers what's key to a good story, they say memorable. So it's such a big part of storytelling. The other big key we've heard over the last couple of days is building that loyal community. And it's something that Twitter's a huge community that's reacting in real time. And some of the best communities on Twitter that I follow, hashtag NBA Twitter Live, hashtag WNBA Twitter Live. What goes into building those strong, loyal communities on Twitter?
Yeah, NBA fans on Twitter are nuts in the
They
best
are.
way. We call Twitter a global sports bar for a reason, right? Because there are people that are cheering for the same team and they high five each other and they build community together. There are people that are talking smack to each other. And then there are athletes who engage in that conversation as well. So it's this really comprehensive, full scale experience where you've got journalists, fans, players, teams, leagues, all jumping into the conversation more often than not in real time too. So the community does what it does. Our job is to equip them with the tools to take it to the next level, to elevate that conversation, to pour a little kerosene on it to make it go crazy. They do the heavy lifting. They're the rock stars here. They come with the fire tweets, the King Josiahs and the worldwide wobs. They bring it each and every night to the timeline. So our job is to make sure that people discover this content and see that these communities exist.
So true. So true. I think if you had told me a year or two ago that we were going to be printing tweets on baseballs and confetti, I would have said, you are nuts. And now here
Right.
we are. And, we've kind of reached this mountaintop. And how do you keep building on that? What are you looking to as we go into 2021, as we go into, what we hope will be the return of a little more normalcy for sports? How do you come back bigger and better than ever? What do you have your eye on this year?
Yeah, I would say it starts with listening. Like ultimately, we go as far as our partners want to go. So when we have these conversations around the Super Bowls and the All Stars and the World Series and the Stanley Cups and you name the event, it's built on partnership. And if we trust each other, then it's likely that we'll be able to challenge each other and build on the existing momentum that we have. The beauty of working in sports and the sports partners that we have, they want to win. There's no complacency. Like they want to do it bigger and better each time. As a partner in Twitter, that challenges us to make sure that we're bringing our A game each and every day. So one of the things that you'll see us continue to lean into are these fan delight moments, participatory engagement. So instead of just smacking a live onto Twitter, how can we do like we do with WNBA Twitter Live or NBA Twitter Live and actually incorporate the community, the folks who exist within the timeline, tweeting about these properties in the show. So it's not just the linear feed popped onto Twitter. It's the folks that you tweet with each and every day hosting the play-by-play commentary of those live game moments on Twitter. So being a bit more participatory and creating consumption experiences for fans that feel more unique and bespoke to them.
We ask every storyteller who's joined us and taken the storyteller stage in 3 words here. The best stories are blank, blank, and blank.
Yeah, I would say inspiring, real, authentic, and obviously trending on Twitter. If it ain't trending on Twitter, it's not a story, baby.
Countless memorable moments from TJ. If you had a favorite quote, tweet it at us. Use hashtag storyteller so we can see it. Also, tweet at TJ. Let him know he absolutely crushed it on Storyteller. If you want a full recap of the 3-day Storyteller experience, we dropped a link. You can catch that. It's in the show notes. Also, catch us next week for quotes like this.
So we literally took cutouts, like cut them out with scissors of like Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, put them on popsicle sticks and had 2 interns hold them in front of a little stage and just act out the debate in real time. We're talking tens of thousands of concurrents watching this alongside our commentary. And, it's fun to get to try that stuff. And it's even better when it works.
That's right. What works and what doesn't, we shoot it straight with the director of digital content at Crooked Media, Elijah Cohn.